Leute, hier spricht Ouroboros und heute haben wir einen richtig Knaller. Und zwar werde ich versuchen, euch die
To bring
Offenbarung
Revelation
näher zu
closer.
bringen.
That's why I've
Darum
given
habe
you
ich
the first
in den
signs of
letzten
something in the
Videos
last
schon
few
mal
videos.
die ersten Anzeichen gegeben, was es sich
It's about
handelt.
Ascension,
Und
or
zwar
how you can
geht es
form a
hier
soul.
den Aufstieg, beziehungsweise wie man eine Seele bilden kann, aus
I'm not
dieser
alone today,
Hölle
my
auf
life
dieses Reich
partner, my
rauskommen
soul.
kann.
I'm
Ich
getting
komme
out
nicht
of this
alleine.
hell.
Meine Lebensgefährten, meine Seele, meine Seelenfreundin.
Soul friend,
Es
is
gibt
there
aber
hello,
auch
hello,
eine
hello,
dahinter,
hello, how are you? Yes, she has a slightly higher voice.
Ja, sie hat heute ein bisschen höhere Stimme. Sie ist, glaube ich,
I think it's a bit
keine
sick.
Ahnung. Aber
I have no
jedenfalls will ich
idea,
heute
but
versuchen,
anyone today
euch
is trying to
etwas
bring you a
näher
little
zu
closer to
bringen,
it.
die
Which
eigentlich,
actually,
glaube
I
ich,
believe,
in
flares up in
jedem
everyone when they search for the
aufflammt,
meaning
wenn
of
er nach
life.
der
I mean
Suche der
people.
Sinn des Lebens ist. Ich meine, Leute, jeder von
Each
uns
of us is
versucht ja
actually
eigentlich
trying to find
herauszufinden,
out
warum
why
wir
we are
hier
here.
sind, wozu
What are
sind
we
wir
here for
überhaupt
and
hier,
why?
warum eigentlich viele
Many
Menschen,
people
die
who suffer
auf
on this
dieser
level.
Ebene
Others have endless
bleiben,
money.
andere
Others
haben
have
Geld
beautiful
ohne
lives.
Ende,
Others,
andere haben ein schönes Leben, andere
in
wiederum
turn,
sind im
they are
Sumpf
involved in the
der
swamp of corruption, I say,
Verderbnis
and that's why I'm going
eingebunden,
to
sage
try
ich
to
mal.
try to
Und
say today.
darum werde ich heute versuchen, sage ich mal. Ne? Am
I
Ende
guess in
müsst
the end you
ihr
have to decide
entscheiden,
whether there is
ob was
water or
daran
not,
ist
and
oder
that's why
nicht.
I'll ask
Und
the
ja, dann
essay.
frage ich mal die Sarah, ne? Nadine,
NS
Sarah,
I
was
say
meinst du
second, it
dazu,
could
was du
be,
zweite
but yes NAD. And what
Aber
do you
ja,
think
nämlich
about all these
Nadine
topics
und
we talk
Nadine, was
about in the
denkst du denn
evening?
überhaupt, diese ganzen Thematiken, wir reden ja abends auch immer öfter
Also
darüber,
more and more
dass
often
man
about the fact
durchaus die
that you
Möglichkeit
definitely
hat,
have the
dass man da
possibility of getting out of this level
wenn
if you
man
get
durch
through it.
Wissen, Erkenntnis
Knowledge makes
wirklich den
advancement possible.
Aufstieg
What kind of
ermöglicht.
thoughts do you have
Was
about
habt ihr
that?
da überhaupt für Gedanken darüber?
So I think about it that I think it's very good that SAS exists. Of course it's a shame that it only exists. Applies to certain people. But I think it's good that you have the opportunity to get out of this strange level where we. Here you can get out and then get into something nicer and better, and if you take a look around here you'll notice. As a mere mortal, I would now say in quotation marks that it isn't the case here. Things are running more normally, as if it were a completely normal world, and yes, that's what I would call the term death.
Also, ich sag mal so, der Begriff Tod war schon richtig.
It was really good again, people, so that you understand this and what's actually going on. It's important that you inside
Ihr in eurem Innern einfach aufnimmt,
simply absorbs the fact that we are all already dead.
heißt Tod.
Death means death,
Und dass
and
wir
that we have been
von
radiated here
irgendeiner
from some
Quelle
source.
hierhin abgestrahlt werden. Und wenn wir schon
And
dabei
while
sind,
we're at it, you
seht
can
ihr
see
auf
in the
dem
picture
Bild,
the Kabbalistic tree of life, people. Yes, there is a tree of life.
der kabbalistische Lebensbaum. Es gibt
10 spears, that means 10 worlds it's called, and the top one is called Colder the crown. That's important that you
Die Krone. Das ist wichtig, dass wir das nicht vergessen.
don't forget the crown, and at the bottom is the Malkut. It is the material world into which we are, so to speak.
Materielle Welt, in der wir uns sozusagen befinden, das ist
This is the place, how should we put it, where all governments, where life takes place, suffering and good and evil know something.
und böse, was weiß ich was auch immer.
I whatever another tree of life with the Kabbalists is about a ray at some point, let's say.
Irgendwann mal ein Strahl, sagen die, ein Strahl
A ray
des
of life,
Lebens,
or the soul
beziehungsweise
itself,
die
was
Seele
radiated
selber
here
hier
and shattered into pieces, and now
gestrahlt wurde und in 1000 Stücke zersplittert und jetzt befinden
I would say that they are at the lowest level in this material world, and their job is to do so.
Und deren Aufgabe besteht daran,
It's their turn to leave this world by ascending to the higher level where the crown is, so to speak.
Aufstieg in die höheren Ebene, wo die Krone ist, wo sozusagen die Erlösung
Redemption takes place, I'll say no, and while we're at it, no, while we're at it, I'll show you something.
zeige ich euch mal was ganz Interessantes.
Very interesting, people, and we're going to go with the ancient system of chakras. It's nothing esoteric.
Es ist ja nichts Esoterisches, wo man im ersten
You would think at first thought,
würde, sondern
but it is based on the fact that the system is ancient and the system shows you.
das System zeigt euch wirklich,
What this is really about is actually a secret that unfortunately has been played around in such an esoteric way, but in
aber in Wirklichkeit
In reality, he shows how you can achieve art ascension here. People can see a picture with the 7 chakras here too.
Chakren. Es ist auch interessant.
Interesting, it's also interesting. Wait a minute, I definitely have to show you what it is. The number is important. There are 7 chakras. For example, in the Freemasonry, in Jacob's ladder there are 7 rungs, or There are spend stages that have to be overcome, which means that you have to do each one. Step over to get to the next, and here comes the whole point. It is called the snake, which means snake. Simply energy consciousness, that every time a chakra point opens, like a gate to another, and each is a gate. Closed but very long people. Here you can see the chakras at the top is the highest. I say it's also farbis, shown with purple, but that is of secondary importance. But at the very bottom we see that the lowest chakra, one has a red color, and this red color means that the lowest level you reach when you go from above is emitted from the source in this body, and this red color, I would say, even has many meanings. I'll even hint that to you guys here, and I don't have the picture anymore, or let's see the color. Red keeps popping up as blood, the color of the devil, I say, and that's what it's all about here, people. Here actually the devil has the red color with the little swan that symbolizes the triangle again and again. Points downwards, that is, when we are in this lower range, the lowest frequency is also the frequency. Hell, I have to show you something else interesting. I know this is so much information at once, but I would still like to enlighten you a little. Hell and heaven are all in you again. What I'm telling you here doesn't come from the outside, but from the inside. That is, the whole system is located in yourselves. Heaven, or even hell, is in you people. Heaven, I would say, is in the area of the head, where in the end it's actually about the whole thing, and hell is the lowest level where the feet are, I say from the feet. This form of energy must come from this consciousness, this snake form symbolically. It has to snake up, so to speak. People, you can even see the snakes here. Snake up to the brain, up to the pineal gland, around this so-called pineal gland, that with the between the brains need to be activated, and through this activation of this third eye something very special is created. A kind of electrical field is created within the brain that leads to the new consciousness that you develop. I also said that in my other videos, so my soul is formed. So yes, I've often talked to you here about how you can form a soul. Then what do you have? Understood what I told you about it actually. So the most important thing is you have to have your own ego. What here? Who you are supposed to be here in this world is first overcome. That is, what you are here, you are in. It's not reality at all. You have to find yourself, you have to let go and become empty so that you become a balanced being and that you definitely learn yourself. I'm sorry, I'm having a bit of a problem with my breathing. In any case, you're learning here. Your jealousy, your ego, your compulsion to let go, and in that sense you become empty inside and balanced. Educate yourself accordingly. Gain insight and knowledge. That's exactly what it's all about. That's what these people are. Chakras on the body determine, that means, when we start it is so that we start from the feet, that means. The snake, the energy snake, slithers under your feet, and when you have reached the first level, these are like gates, people, locked gates, and at every say hell, is I say with this red color means I say. Times the ego, what you are actually already originating from, that means you have certain scribble features you are. Greedy for money, or you have greed, I don't know what, and when he has overcome that, then comes and then. The next gate closes where this symbolic snake, energetic snake, whirls its way through, I say. Times to reach the next level, guys. And so it goes on. That means when he unlocks every conclusion, then this energy that flows through you will land on the brain and open and reveal the celandine. I would say that it is the third eye, which represents an ancient symbolism that in turn has to do with the soul. And when you've done that, people form an energetic field around the brain where there is, so to speak, the any that new consciousness of what he has become, that is, you have from the ascent from the lowest level to the top of the head. Once you have made a mistake by overcoming your character traits, by overcoming your ego. Greed for money is whether it's hate, whatever people you overcome one step to the other, that's what it's all about. Freemasonry, it's about Freemasonry, that they work on themselves, so to speak. Their ego changes their character traits in their lodges, and thus also symbolically climb the steps of the rungs, that is nothing other than explained with all the chakra points, and you also see the key on the ladder, because you have to unlock one rung from the other, so to speak. Then people, in order to represent this light at the end, so to speak, you see the sun and the moon, and so to speak. A third, that is the third eye, or the point of enlightenment, the light that you have to reach in the end, so to speak. That's actually very interesting. So I'd like to show you something else while we're over it. Talking about all these chakras, if we're talking about ascension, then I'd like to tell you this again. Picture of Eve and Adam. Adam and Eve show something like that with the tree of life, with the knowledge, with the serpent. Does it all mean when you see this picture, every time, with Adam and Eve you see a tree that actually that representing the brain? It's the brain, people. This symbolic tree is the brain with the stem, I'll say it. So tree trunk symbolizes your spinal vertebra, your back, like, or how do you say the spine? The spine there, it represents the spine, there where the so-called energy, the snake, so to speak, around it. Baumstem winds itself up to the brain, and from there, so to speak, the consciousness, the soul, is formed. To increase, I say Adam and Eve simply symbolize the opposite, the sun and the moon, the plus and that. Minus people, it also symbolizes the two parts of the brain, which then at the end the WI equal. Still show, but I'm telling you now, the two parts of the brain symbolize, as I said, the female and the male. The material and the spiritual, and important to experience, is important to experience that these two components have to be brought together, which means symbolically with intellectual, and everything around it has to be worked on. Brought together in order to form the soul from these two elements, so to speak. People try to do that. We are familiar with politics today, so to speak, with all this transgenderism, where they are trying to force a man to be a woman. A woman should be a man. That is actually symbolically indicated by this symbolism that I tell you. I have just said that they want to represent something that is genderless, and that is material. That's year important, it's year important. If we've been promoted, it's so that we will go back to the original source, and at the original source, we will get a new body that is neither female and male, is it will be a genderless something that again suggests that they are angels. If we talk about angels from the Bible, or what do I know, they are genderless beings that we say in a different way. That is, if you manage to create this structure, create a soul and the source. If you go back and get a new body in the source, then you will simply be like a man or a woman. You will simply be a divine being, and that's what it's all about here. As I said, the symbolism of Adam Eve is nothing
sind nichts anderes, Leute.
Other people than this, what you are, what you could become. So now let's say it again.
So, jetzt kommen wir noch mal ein bisschen weiter.
A little further you know, so to speak. You also know the Holy Grail.
Du kennst ja auch den Heiligen Gral. Also, kennst du die
Do you know the
Geschichte
story
von
of Jesus
Jesus
and everything about it, and what do you know about the Holy Cow?
Den Heiligen Gral.
Also der Heilige Gral, der stellt
Represents your enlightenment, so to speak. That means you have to empty yourself in order to have one.
Das heißt, du musst dich lehren, eine Erleuchtung zu bekommen.
To get enlightenment, and the saint is in that sense the enlightened thing that arises in you.
In dir aufsteigt.
Ja, nicht so
Yes,
christlich, aber
not
das sagt
entirely
der
true,
Heilige
but I say
Gral
the Holy
ist
Grail is the vessel of life people. That means if
Wenn ihr,
you and the onion gland is, let's say, released from all this crap here, and it starts to sound it.
all diesen Mist hier und anfängt zu klingen. Es ist wie so eine Art
Is like a kind of frequency. It's like a bell. When you bell skin creates a frequency around which that is. That's what will happen when the pineal gland is activated, so to speak. Then a kind of bell ringing occurs.
Eine Art Glockenschlag, eine Frequenz.
Frequency, and this frequency leaves the sacred Kral open, which means the sacred cow is a vessel where then
Das heißt, dieser heilige Gral ist ein Gefäß, wo dann euer
your
neues
new consciousness
Bewusstsein,
is stored and placed on top of it.
eingespeichert
People.
wird, dass da
That means it's like an
draufgelegt
empty
wird.
vessel in
Das
it.
heißt, es ist wie ein leeres Gefäß, in dem dann
Then your new
euer
consciousness,
neues
which I say was from the
Bewusstsein,
lowest level up to here,
sag
you
ich
have a
mal,
complete one.
Bis ihr oben wart, habt ihr ein komplett anderes
Other
Bewusstsein,
consciousness, other
anderes
ego,
Leben,
other me,
anderes
and this new me becomes a
Dieses
vessel in this holy grail in all.
in diesem heiligen Gral, in diesem, das ist ein Gefäß. Ein Gefäß.
Vessel people now imagine, for example, you also know all these trophies, for example the football cup, they look similar, are symbolically done to ensure that this holy grail is simply a vessel where your new consciousness comes in. You can even see the picture, beautifully done, with this Holy Spirit that is put into this pot, so to speak, and Jesus Christ symbolizes the power and the energy that then, so to speak, raises you to life anew. Committing to a soul forms people, and that's actually the craziest thing about the whole thing. For example, you know about it. Da Vinci took the picture last evening, and of course many questions about what it all meant. Means, and you have to imagine. Then we come back to the star signs. Star combination on astrology, and this picture people simply symbolizes the 12th zodiac sign, but I would tell you a few more things. The zodiac sign Z in the picture is the one based on the 3 system. Divided you can see the 3D, so that means distributed over 4 levels. 4 by 3 are 12. These are the 12 zodiac signs. What we also know today, but what you don't know is a 13th zodiac sign. Ophiuchus, and this Ophiuchus symbolizes Jesus Christ. It gets really interesting. People are like very few know this symbol of the zodiac sign.
Sehr wenige kennen dieses Symbol des Sternzeichens, den Schlangenträger.
Ophiuchus was probably made specifically to actually take the truth out of this system. As you know, a lot of things were taken out of the Bible and then put in the Apocrypha. A lot of what is written in the Apocrypha actually contradicts the Bible itself, and that's what it's all about. Same as this zodiac sign. I mean, if you take this D13 zodiac sign in here, then they are all these Z zodiac signs that you know are there, because then your zodiac signs would be different, but talk about it. As I said, we're not talking about the 3 zodiac signs, which also means the Jesus power energy symbolizes people. So while we're at it now, it's very important to know. Like I said, when you activate the spell, when you have a saint, Crawl activates what is present in every person, then you become a soul and this immortal soul. I say you have the possibility, through the gate of light, through the portal of what comes after life, after death, to traverse back to the original, how should I say, to the original source, and here you can see a great symbol. People have a great symbol, and from an astrological point of view you can see the Ophiuchus's head, so to speak. The snake, and now comes the people above the Ophiuchus. Astrologically speaking, no. Is the so-called corona borealis, which is called the northern crown on the astrological sky, I say. And now look at what this Ophiuchus, or the snake, is doing. It's reaching for the crown, it wants it. Bite it we hold, I say, and that doesn't really mean anything else, it doesn't actually mean anything. Other thing that you can see, so to speak, grab the crown of Keter from the Kabbalistic tree of life, and thus becoming a divine being, people an independent soul, which then has the opportunity to get to the origins of where you come from as a living being. That's also important to know. Living beings, we are all dead, we come from storage, are emitted, and if we manage to do so, we will. To work up to form a soul, then we will live people a godlike being. Immortal, you don't have to come back sometimes, you don't have to do anything anymore in this council of life, in this eternal cycle of death and the imaginary existence of people, and that is fear, the secret of what is called the Ascension, but the Ascension is not in the esoteric area, but the Ascension is not within you. Outside, and if you manage to reach this crown, I say this mountain, then you are one. Became a soul, and it's important. It's also important what a lot of people don't know. People you know, for example, story of Moses, and here you see the picture, which is very important. You see Moses, and out of the head comes a ray like one, of course, also represents horns as horns, and he points to this so-called cross on which the snake has coiled itself, susag, and in this area, BL, this is seen as an increase in the being of the self. Shown, that means you have to increase, and this increase refers again to these chakras, to your inner, gradually come up to the brain, up to Z activation of the Zbelrus, up to this holy jewel, something in you. In that your consciousness is, so to speak, put in so that you become such a soul, and he shows Moses. I say his finger on the tree on this spine, where this energy goes up level by level until you have exalted yourself, and can therefore form something, and the important thing is the horns, which are not represented as horns, I say. Sometimes sculptures of Moses also show with a horn, and so this is important. It is nothing other than the level of the holy crowns. It is an energetic field that is built around the head, and in the middle of it, people is in the middle of it. Soul that is then sealed, so to speak. It is sealed. It is important to know that when the siebel is activated, an energetic field is created where the soul no longer blows away, so to speak, so but remains stable and is enclosed, and it is. And if we look a little further here, I would show you a few more things, guys. It's really awesome. I have to show you all the pictures now. Showcase, where was that now? A moment, where was that? Here is, you know, the movie Lord of the Rings and the Lord. The rings, and you see this powerful eye that controls everything, and exactly the same people. As is drawn with the horn, the developed soul is in between. It's all symbolism, you can even see it. That it is a mountain, a tower that leads up to the top, and this energetic field, so to speak, builds up at the top. In there is the soul. In the end there is nothing fairytale or mystical here, but rather it is one technical matter where it's about energies, and through these energies you can build a field in which, so to speak, the new consciousness that you have developed for life endures and therefore has the possibilities, the gates through the portals to come out to the original source, where we will all be radiated around an immortal angelic one, to become beings, and that's what it's all about in the end, people. We still have something like that, and if you don't believe that, now let's see the ancient Egyptian reliefs. What do you see here? Look at what I just said, the grain, and in the middle is the circular one that is supposed to represent the soul, and importantly on the other side you see someone else. Put a vessel over the head, and here you can see the key, the fear key, what he has to do with it. The vessel the holy Krill later recognized, when you got the key itself became a key. Then you can form a soul, and all Egyptian reliefs, with sun gods around them, refer to. In the end, what matters is the life you can create out of yourself again. There is no help from outside, any missions that come from somewhere outside and want to save us. Lynn, what exactly do you say about that? So you shouldn't hope that someone somewhere will save you. But you have to make sure that you save yourself. If you don't save yourself, then you end up in trouble. Hell, exactly, and important to know, people, if we already know about hell and heaven. Talking like I said, everything is in one. Hell is the lowest, the feet, let's say quite simply. Express, the feet is hell, where hell begins, where the time loop, where the Ouroboros effect begins, that is, brings you into the same crap over and over again, but you have the opportunity to ascend to heaven. With you, heaven is simply nothing other than the brain, than from the brain where you can escape, so to speak, by letting yourself grow wings, symbolically, and you can get out of here. It's also important. You see, there's not just one snake here, there are two snakes, people, and these are these minus plus energies that go through these chakras around this gate to the end, where the Zerbeld rose is activated, where an energetic field is built up, where you can create yours. A new consciousness can, so to speak, envelop itself and then emerge as an indestructible soul, I would say. This, yes, prison W say, but a place where you can leave it. That's why it's important to recognize normal people. I don't want to say anything bad. Normal people who follow their normal schedule determine their time. Everything around them will be after the death, of course. This balanced program will be what they are, so to speak, also in this tunnel come after death, but in contrast to those who have formed a soul, true soul, that he nothing else is to have corrected yourself. That's the crazy thing that is also described in Kabbalism. You have to correct yourself, that nothing else means changing, transforming, so that you can, so to speak, crown can rise and thus form a soul. All other people who go through the tunnel normally go into the light are simply wiped out, destroyed people. That means as if they never existed, and that's why important that you overcome this, that you simply form a soul, and important everything. There are secret societies whose original secret is that these people practice Freemasonry in its highest system. It's based on what I just said. The bad thing is that at the beginning there was actually a system where everyone actually had the chance to go through the portal, and thus being cleaned automatically was a gift from the highest who run this entire system, which means it doesn't matter what you were, you could just go through a portal and you were automatically, so to speak, from your low frequencies liberated, and you actually felt like you were going through one when you went through one. Go to the car wash and clean it, so to speak, it was like that before.
Vorher so gewesen, bevor irgendwelche
Some evil, yes, one has to say evil beings have taken the secret upon themselves and the people. Humanity, so to speak, has changed the truth symbolically completely through false lies. Have changed that people have not recognized at all and what is going on here in the end, these evil people. Power has the knowledge and the mechanism, which means they even have this technical system where they can use their power. Send your own people through there to become kind of divine people, and then of course they feel, what do you think why? There are certain people in this world who then claim that they are divine and that they are human. Nothing other than cattle, so to speak. Think about it, that is, they have the knowledge and the machinery to let yourself go through the portals here, so to speak, to create your own simulation, to create divine ones. Creating worlds for themselves that were normally meant for every human being, but these evil creatures have done the opposite, blocked people from the truth, and humanity is, so to speak, nothing here other than slaves as locked beings who unfortunately still run according to their program, but there are some few who get the chance to experience all of this, so to speak, even if it involves suffering, but in the end people. Once again, in the end everything will be okay. I can promise you everything will be okay no matter what. I only know that it will end here. Yes, it was a very long time. Yes, it was long. Not, but what do you think about the whole thing? What do you think about the fact that there are forces here that prevent all of this? That you should receive the knowledge that comes from normal people, and that they are so evil that they prevent it. That the person gets out of here, and into the weight for which he was intended, or I think about that these people on. It's best to experience for yourself what it's like to live in hell, and that's why everyone who has the opportunity should come here. To come out, and then do the same with the others here, just as so low and, as I said, revenge, and that's actually not the right thing to do, but that's how I do it. When you have reached a certain phase, put it this way, when you have actually crossed this light portal, you become like this divine being, then I would advise everyone who has managed to come back here, and other people, to help them on their way, and so that they themselves can rise, because the more we become, I say the more we become, the less the dark power has the chance to use the slavery of people here, and for their own benefit. Own agents to use people. In the end it's here that these beings have the energies that are for people too, are given to tap into for their agendas and for their abuse, I say, and that's why it's very important. Is it very important that he knows the secret? This secret, as I just explained to you, is everywhere, represented symbolically done, but when you get behind it people, when you get over it completely, then comes the freedom is closer than you can imagine, and I'm 100% sure, I don't know where you know that all this miss will stop at some point automatically people, automatically. That's why it's for these beings that these world books, who all have this knowledge here, it is important for them that these chosen ones come here, so to speak, in order to make the ascension easier, in order to give freedom, so to speak, to other people who are trying to do this. Chosen as possible to stop with different things around that means if any such a select on the earth comes, and some families are built around it with wrong things around it, to distract from the truth, so that he does not rise, so that these people continue their criminal activities. Can people know, it's a malicious entity that rules here people, they're not even people, they're not real people who have humanity under their thumb here. Come to the end, do you want something else? Say so. Said the topic in general is of course not that easy. In the end, work on your looks, that you wash your insides clean, that you try to ascend to gain insight and knowledge so that you don't come back here again. Having returned to this level, my last words on this whole topic, people, I'll put it this way. Of course, it took a very long time to get all the knowledge together, or I'm even sure that it wasn't. It was just a coincidence that I was supposed to receive the knowledge. It was just supposed to pass it on to you. Pass it on, because it is very important. You have to imagine this assumption that we are all already dead and that we come from a source, a kind of cosmic festival sheet that is stripped away, and that we are definitely the possibility options have these negativities in us the ego completely overcome so that we cleaned from this type of washing machine, I say, to get out and clean a beautiful divine life. But as I said, the whole system was tried by parasites that took over here, but how? Said there are also laws that they also have to abide by, and if they don't do what they have done many times, then they are punished for it, and the worst thing about it is people who know secrets, by telling certain ones, apply principles against people. That is, if these parasites are planning something here, let's say they bring it now. Let's say hundreds of people, or they bring wars into war and then kill millions of people. Is their view so that they try to shift the blame for what they have caused onto others, that is? That's the secret with those here who simply impose what they do on other normal people. They are punishing people in chambers and not themselves, and that is the secret of what they have people. And once you find out about that, I'm sure the punishment will come back for you in the end. 100 billion% sure that these beings that humanity has left in the dumps for so long that they are on, at the end they will be turned off, and I even believe that a real hell exists and they will all get there. I'm 100 billion times sure that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the third part, and Nadine still have something to say at the end. Tell me your feeling. What do you think? What do you think? Let's finish here. Make about the topic. I wish everyone good luck and hope that you all have your knowledge and knowledge gained by then. That's it. I'll say see you soon and ciao.
Bis demnächst und ciao.